On a cotton farming commune near the eastern coast of the People's Republic of China, a barefoot doctor named Xiao Shu makes house calls to ailing patients in her brigade. Before the establishment of the People's Republic, medical services were almost non-existent here, as in most agricultural areas throughout China. Malnutrition and epidemics were widespread. In 1949, China had only 20,000 doctors. Today, there are nearly 200,000, and many are working in the countryside. But the main force of the rural healthcare system is the barefoot doctor, a paramedic like Xiao Shu, who provides health and medical services on the farms. The vast improvement in rural health conditions rely greatly on modern medicine, but an innovative usage of traditional resources was China's principal strategy against the age-old problems of disease. In the past, trained medical personnel stayed in cities like Peking to work in fee-for-service clinics or in hospitals built by foreign missionaries. Urban dwellers still benefit from modern medical facilities, such as the Peking No. 2 Friendship Hospital. Today, nearly all city residents receive professional medical care provided through low-cost health insurance. It is hoped that someday, health services will be entirely government-funded. Free medical care for factory workers and 50% coverage for their dependents was made available in the early 1950s. Factories contracted with nearby hospitals for the services of professional doctors and nurses. As a result, medical care for workers improved, but it relied primarily on an urban, hospital-based medical delivery system. In 1965, in what has become his famous June 26 directive, Chairman Mao insisted that in health and medical work, the stress should be on the rural areas. China needed doctors not only in the cities, but on the farms where 80% of her population lived. But how could China, relatively poor in resources and medical manpower, provide adequate health services for over 600 million people in the vast countryside? As a result of Mao's directive, 20% of China's medical personnel were transferred from urban to rural areas to provide health services, but their main task was to train locally based paramedics, the barefoot doctors. The name barefoot doctor is a literal translation of the Chinese term 赤脚医生. It was originally a nickname for rural medical workers who, like other farmers, sometimes work without shoes. Its main purpose is to symbolize the kinship between the peasants and the paramedics. Lao Huang is a barefoot doctor in northern China who spends half of his time working in the rice fields. In his barefoot doctor kit, he carries first aid equipment and some medicines. The number of medicines he can prescribe is determined by his training and experience. Some medicines are manufactured in neighboring communes. Others come from factories in Shanghai. Advanced barefoot doctors may spend less time in the fields, but some farm work is required for everyone. Lao Huang earns as much as other farmers with the same labor power, about 40 Chinese dollars per month. When Lao Huang is working in the clinic, other members of his production team assume his responsibilities in the fields.
那这样第三个身体的声音。
你这么简单是这个学到这么穷，是吧？
你反而讲话也不好，你反而讲话也不好，还得让。
All communes are composed of smaller units called brigades. Each brigade maintains a small clinic which serves approximately 1,500 people. The number of barefoot doctors per clinic varies from commune to commune. At the July 1 commune near Shanghai, 3 barefoot doctors are interviewed about how they were selected and trained. Candidates are nominated at open meetings, then approved by health officials. Qualifications are based on record of public service and aptitude for health work. Family background and political attitudes are also considered. The primary motivation for becoming a barefoot doctor must be to serve the people.
我当了3年。
当了3年。这个你。
我也当7年。
所以你们2个都是7年，你是3年了。
时间分布的特点是不一样。
In the late 1960s, the initial group of barefoot doctors was trained on the communes for 1 to 4 months during the agricultural slack season. In some areas, basic training is now a more formal 6-month program financed by the government. These students at the Shenyang School of Public Health will eventually receive a total of 2 years of classroom and clinical instruction. Over half of the barefoot doctors in this class are women. Preventive skills are emphasized, but the students also learn to treat diseases common to their local agricultural areas. They are also trained to recognize symptoms for more difficult cases, which will be referred to full-time physicians at commune or county hospitals. As part of their basic medical program, barefoot doctors study gynecology and obstetrics. They will play an active role in China's family planning campaign. Professional doctors from local hospitals or those traveling with mobile health teams periodically conduct classes for barefoot doctors to upgrade their medical training. Physicians from the People's Liberation Army also supervise continuing education on the communes, most of which is in clinical work and independent study. Although 2 years of cumulative instruction is the goal, some of the most dedicated and talented barefoot doctors will eventually enter medical school and become physicians. The barefoot doctors in turn train health workers to assist in prevention activities. Educational programs emphasize personal hygiene and environmental sanitation. Water samples are collected periodically from local wells and tested for contamination. Cholera and other waterborne diseases have been controlled by the paramedics through mass immunization campaigns. But the lasting success of their efforts can also be attributed to an increased concern for sanitation. Parasitic diseases, such as schistosomiasis and hookworm disease, have been aggravated by the custom of using human feces as fertilizer. Much effort is spent teaching farmers how to store and compost human waste. Barefoot doctors inspect backyard night soil deposits, which must be kept away from living quarters and covered. Farmers collect the night soil, which will be fermented or treated chemically before use in the fields. By taking these precautions, parasitic diseases have been greatly reduced, though not yet totally eliminated. Periodically, entire communities are mobilized to kill disease-causing insects. The national anti-pest campaigns of the 1950s were directed against flies, rats, mosquitoes, bedbugs, and roaches. During the summer, farmers clear rainwater from ditches and spray insecticide to keep mosquitoes away from their homes. Malaria and other diseases have been greatly reduced, but mosquitoes breed in wet rice fields and are still a nuisance. The theory of attacking the source of disease has also enabled the Chinese to control certain infectious diseases, such as syphilis and gonorrhea, which are virtually non-existent in China today. Symptoms were publicized during small group meetings and over the mass media. Affected persons were urged to go for treatment. Health education for the public is a major part of the Barefoot Doctors Prevention Program and China's principal strategy against disease. As the Barefoot Doctors gradually increase their medical skills, they are able to provide more curative services. Gao Zhang has been a barefoot doctor for 3 years. Like most barefoot doctors, Gao Zhang works in his native village, where many of his patients are relatives and friends. These personal ties help to promote close doctor-patient relationships, which are largely responsible for the effectiveness of the paramedics. The barefoot doctor's patients pay the equivalent of $1 per year, or approximately 1% of their annual income, to a cooperative insurance fund. The brigade contributes a matching amount, which pays Gao Zhang's salary. Most, but not all communes have a cooperative health plan. In addition to Western medical techniques, traditional Chinese treatments are administered by barefoot doctors. The most popular is acupuncture, which has been used for centuries as a method for treating various ailments, such as headaches. Over 1,000 insertion points are charted and linked by meridians, which once possessed mystical significance. The meridians are lines connecting stimulation points, which are said to affect the same internal organ. According to one of many theories, internal reactions occur because of a cutaneovisceral reflex. The advantages of using acupuncture as an analgesic for surgery were not discovered until the early 1960s, during experiments conducted by Chinese doctors. Both Western-style medicines and Chinese herbal medicines are prescribed at the clinic. Patients can specify a preference. Herbs are grown commercially or collected by the peasants on their days off and sold for additional income. Some herbs are grown by the barefoot doctors in small garden plots behind the clinic. Urban housewives and retired people receive some health care benefits. With encouragement from the government, they have also formed their own health care groups, electing their own paramedics called Red Health Doctors. Most of the Red Health Doctors are middle-aged housewives who spend part of their time educating their neighbors in health care matters and part of their time with other activities, such as babysitting or tending to household chores. Household tasks may include caring for homegrown ginseng plants and other medicinal herbs. The collection of home remedies may also include a colony of insects called earth turtles. Although their medicinal value is not immediately apparent, the tubia, as the Chinese call them, seem to make good pets. Lao Liu is a Red Health Doctor at the Shi Chang'an Hutung in Peking. Like the barefoot doctors, she emphasizes preventive measures but has had less medical training. At this health station, services such as this acupuncture treatment for rheumatism cost as little as 5 cents. Many people, especially older patients, still prefer traditional Chinese treatments. Despite its long history, traditional medicine was ignored by China's Western-trained physicians until Chairman Mao insisted that indigenous medicine should be recognized also. Lao Liu probably knew how to give acupuncture treatments before becoming a Red Health Doctor, but now she is supervised by a trained physician and knows some Western techniques as well. Lao Liu and her partners also know how to make 10 varieties of herbal pills, one of which they say is very effective against the common cold. Dried herbs are ground in a stone grinder, sifted and ground again until all the ingredients are powdered. The combined use of Chinese and Western medicine is described by a popular saying, "Liang tiao tui zhou lu." China walks on 2 legs, one traditional and one new. The curriculum for all medical students now includes courses taught by Chinese pharmacologists who once considered medicinal recipes to be highly prized secrets. Learning to identify all the ingredients can be a difficult task.
它固有的表现出一些。
10% of the students at the Liaoning School of Chinese Medicine are People's Liberation Army soldiers. Nearly half of the other students were barefoot doctors before entering medical school. In 4 years, they will become physicians with a specialty in Chinese medicine and will help train barefoot doctors in the use of herbs and other medical techniques. One reason traditional medicine is supported by the government is because it makes good use of available materials and natural resources. Wild herbs are preferred because they are considered to be more potent. This class of medical students in Shenyang, north of the Great Wall, is collecting herbs in the wheat field surrounding Beiling, the tomb of the father of the first Manchu emperor. Seeing these young students at the ancient tomb reminds us that China's medicine does indeed walk on 2 legs. The Chinese say that by combining traditional and modern medicine, the old can help the new, and the past can serve the present. The Liaoning School of Chinese Medicine is one of several medical colleges which specialize in developing new techniques from traditional ones. It operates a small factory where medicines are made by simple and inexpensive methods which can be used by barefoot doctors with limited equipment and training. Ingredients are chopped, dried, and shredded, then ground in large stone mills. Some mills are patterned after designs several thousand years old, with electricity replacing the traditional power source. Some of the medicines are made according to age-old prescriptions. Others are new formulas developed by the school's pharmacologists. Small quantities are ground in a foot mill. Others are blended and granulated in an air-blown tumbler, or finely powdered and made into tablets. The machines, like the medicines themselves, are made from available materials. The college also supplies herbal medicines to 4 rural hospitals and an outpatient clinic. Individual prescriptions are dispensed at herb pharmacies at the school. The price of medicines has decreased by 80% since 1952. As a result, increased demand has generated a scarcity of wild herbs. Posters illustrating substances with medicinal value are distributed among the peasants, who can help barefoot doctors gather more herbs. Prescriptions are double-checked by one of the pharmacists, then bagged and labeled and sent to the pharmacy kitchen. The cost of prescriptions, along with the doctor's bill and other hospital fees, is usually covered by insurance. In the pharmacy kitchen, prescriptions are placed in individual cooking pots and brewed into medicinal teas or syrups. The Chinese phrase for taking medicine is 吃药, to eat medicine, as one would 吃饭 or eat food. In some ways, the modern-day usage of herbal medicines can be considered an extension of Chinese nutritional therapy, a means of preventing and curing illnesses with food, which was popular long before the arrival of Western medicine. Some herbal medicines are new combinations of traditional ingredients, such as this thick medicinal syrup, which will be made into Chinese-style medicine balls. The formula for this type of medicine, which is somewhat like an aspirin, was developed by herbalists at the school, who are very proud of its therapeutic properties. According to directions on the back of the package, small bits taken with water should help to cure headaches and colds. In the school's outpatient clinic, other traditional remedies are tested, then taught to barefoot doctors. One is called Zhuguan, a counter-irritation treatment for rheumatism, in which heated bamboo sections are applied to the skin. Another is Jufa, or moxibustion. Balls of herbs are placed on the skin and lit, causing small blisters to form. A Zhuguan patient must return several times for the treatment to be effective. A stimulating suction is created when heated air in the bamboo forms a partial vacuum as it cools. Like many other traditional remedies, Zhuguan treatments are simple to perform and do not require expensive medical equipment. Acupuncture has become well known as an anesthetic, but in addition to its ability to mask pain, it can also stimulate areas which have lost sensitivity. Needles of varying lengths are inserted at different points depending on the nature of the ailment. Occasionally, acupuncture is used in conjunction with another treatment called Baguan. It is similar in principle to Zhuguan, but creates a more powerful suction. Baguan is not uniquely Chinese. It is also practiced throughout the rest of Asia and in the West, where it is known as cupping. A traditional method of removing tonsils by cauterization is also performed in the clinic. Small irons are heated over a flame and dipped in an herbal solution before being placed on the tonsil. This is a simple but time-consuming process because only small areas are removed at a time. As many as 10 visits may be necessary to remove both tonsils. The doctors say that this method would be more practical if only 3 visits were required. Although most barefoot doctors do not perform dental work, they are occasionally required to extract teeth. For this, they rely on a relatively painless method called acupressure. The purpose of this simple technique is to eliminate the need for expensive dental equipment, such as hypodermic needles and Novocaine. The doctor places his hands on the patient's face and exerts pressure on the upper maxillary nerves. This creates a temporary numbness, similar to what happens when one's foot goes to sleep. After a few minutes, additional pressure is exerted on the patient's tooth. This tooth is being removed for cosmetic reasons. After the extraction, an herbal solution is applied to stop the bleeding. This simple acupressure technique is now being used by many barefoot doctors. While improved health in the countryside can be attributed to better medical care, it is also a result of better nutrition. Much effort is devoted to increasing the supply of animal protein. Dairy products are being introduced. Animals are raised both communally and privately. Whatever a family does not use for its own consumption can be sold at the local market or to the state. No farm would be complete without its backyard animals. Pigs are bred not only for their meat, but also for their manure, which is the main source of fertilizer. There is currently a campaign to increase the number of pigs, which the Chinese call mobile fertilizer factories. A barefoot doctor specializing in the care of animals occasionally visits peasant breeders. They call him a barefoot veterinarian. Medical attention for sick or injured animals has always been important to the Chinese peasant, whose livelihood once depended on the well-being of his beasts of burden. Cases which cannot be dealt with effectively by the barefoot veterinarian are referred to animal clinics on the commune. At the animal clinic, veterinarians administer both Western and Chinese medical treatments. At the August 1 commune, one of these techniques is demonstrated on a horse with a hoof injury. A popular remedy for many human ailments, acupuncture is also used to treat sick animals. Insertion points are charted and labeled like those for human beings. Horses with colds, vertigo, inflammations, or hemorrhages are treated with acupuncture. Acupuncture is also performed on other valuable animals, such as cows and bulls, as well as seed hogs and sows.
高尚不高尚？
不高尚。
A barefoot doctor specializing in midwifery assists in childbirth as well as prenatal and perinatal care. This midwife is visiting a young peasant mother a week after the birth of her first child. A tremendous baby boom has resulted from the relative prosperity of the last quarter century, during which China's population increased by 60%. China is now conducting an intensive family planning campaign. The government encourages late marriages and small families. Ideally, women should be 25 and men 28 years old before marrying. Although the average birth rate is less than 2%, it is somewhat higher in the rural areas. Peasants still tend to marry younger and have larger families than urban dwellers. This mother is only 21. Before 1949, China's infant mortality rate was extremely high. With better living conditions and trained healthcare personnel in the rural areas, infant mortality has been drastically reduced. This 7-day-old baby boy, wrapped in red in the traditional Chinese fashion, can look forward to a long and healthy life. At the August 1 commune, a doctor and a midwife discuss birth control methods available on the commune. All contraceptives are provided free of charge, with the exception of the condom, which costs a ½ cent apiece. Although they are sold in stores, condoms, like other contraceptives, are available to married couples only. Birth control pills and intrauterine devices are more popular. Chinese factories in Shanghai produce more birth control pills than any other country in the world. Other contraceptives, such as the paper pill, are being developed at government research institutes in Peking and Shanghai. This midwife keeps records for every family in the brigade, indicating which method of contraception is being used. Here, she explains a record book for IUD insertions. Vasectomies and tubal ligations are encouraged for parents who have completed their families. Patients receive time off with pay during the operation and recuperation period. Abortions may be performed in the event of contraceptive failure. The permission of both parents is necessary, and occasionally that of grandparents as well. Specific birth control information is not available to unmarried people, but the pros and cons of various methods are discussed in a small family planning booklet that newlywed couples receive as a gift from the state. In China, family planning is not only a personal matter, but a national concern. Messages are broadcast over radio and the ever-present loudspeaker. The advantage of having small families and limiting population growth are explained in terms of promoting better health and improving living standards for all. Parents should have only 2 children, with a recommended spacing of 4 years. Propaganda work is necessary to counteract the pressures from grandparents to have more children, male babies in particular.
孩子4个月。
啊，这孩子以下你就带的花。
啊。
来过月经吗？
没有。
这孩子还挺胖的，体
哪
格挺好。
Midwives and barefoot doctors also deliver birth control pills to married women on the commune. Barefoot Dr. Xiao Shu delivers a once-a-month birth control pill that is being tested on her commune near Shanghai. One of the most important aspects of China's family planning campaign is providing jobs for women. Women comprise 80% of the employees at this lock factory. The factory's barefoot doctors keep track of the women's menstrual cycles and deliver birth control pills at the proper time. What a woman earns by laboring outside the home adds substantially to the family income. This additional revenue can be used to purchase luxury items such as a bicycle, sewing machine, radio, or watch. In addition to the monetary incentive, there is also a strong motivation to contribute directly to the building of new China. Women want to be an active part of the productive labor force. Some factories are organized by housewives who produce traditional items such as baskets or crocheted and embroidered goods on a piecework basis. Others work at newly created occupations or those formerly reserved for men. Women lathe operators work in small rural factories organized to aid the commune in becoming self-reliant. Like barefoot doctors, they may be trained in the cities but return to the farms to work. Some of the more strenuous jobs are still performed by men. Women who perform less physically demanding tasks earn somewhat less, but the goal is equal pay for equal work. Women also perform jobs such as digging wells and canals, which were once forbidden to them because of superstition. Welding an ox cart wheel pays the same number of work points as forging iron spikes. Although the midwives and barefoot doctors play a crucial role in China's family planning campaign, the availability of jobs for women is one of the most important reasons for its success. By keeping population growth in line with the ability to provide medical services, family planning will be a major factor in the future of health care in the countryside. Despite the success of the family planning campaign, over 15 million babies are born in China every year. Although they join the largest population that China has ever known, in terms of health and medical care, this generation will be the most privileged in China's history. These young children receive regular checkups and vaccinations administered by barefoot doctors, who will attend to their medical needs for the rest of their lives. At nurseries and daycare centers, children learn at an early age to appreciate the benefits of health care. With toy kits like those of China's paramedics, these little girls perform a children's dance, while their classmates sing a Chinese song extolling the virtues of the new society's modern heroes, the barefoot doctors.
大爷爷